Hi, hello guys, this is Lisa, an occupational therapist specialized in Padawan therapy, master degree in autism spectrum disorder. And as usual, I'm connecting every Wednesday at 7:30-ish Europe time to talk a little bit about different topics. Now, first of all, apologies because last week I couldn't connect. It was my birthday and I had to manage different work and everything, so different circumstances and situations, so I couldn't manage to connect. But from this week onwards, I am back after a little small break, and we are going to continue having this chat with you and continue answering your questions. And I am very happy to hear that some of you are more asking question, posting about the question, contacting, writing to me, and like requesting kind of those type of topics. I love it. So definitely don't hesitate to do it. I'm here for that reason, okay? The main aim of this little project of Chat with Lisa is that every Wednesday I will go live and I will be here available for a short period of time, depends how the conversation is going, to answer your questions and maybe, give some suggestions, some advices. Now, like I said before, I'm an occupational therapist. I work with children with special needs, and I work with children with different ages and different difficulties, right? So we are having kids with Down syndrome, we are having kids with autism, different conditions, neurological conditions, etc., etc. And sometimes it's not about the condition, but more about the difficulty. My child is not eating properly, my child is drooling too much, my child is doesn't have good coordination or balancing or sitting posture or writing skills, etc., etc. So occupational therapists, we are like, I call us super therapists because we can do many things, we can work in many different areas. And this is one of the things that I like about us, that I try to both tell my parents with who I work and my therapist to who I train that we have to be open-minded and we have to try to do our best to help the kids as much as possible. And sometimes we can go to territories that are a little bit more putting interest in other territories that are maybe not that much on occupational therapy, but it's also great to combine and to work within other therapies. For example, physiotherapy, speech therapist, not occupational therapists, but early intervention teachers, ABA therapists, chiropractors. You will be really amazed with the amount of you will be amazed with the amount of kids with who I work and therapists that I collaborate. So what we are going to target today, as the title says, hi, I'm an occupational therapist and I'm going to talk about children with special needs, so our job with them. I also forgot to mention that we work with different ages. We start working from babies from 3 months old onwards, okay? So we don't have an age limit, neither we have a difficulty limit. And this is what makes me so much passionate about this job, right? So as the title says, today I'm going to talk about teeth biting and cerebral palsy drooling. So what is happening? I'm going to try to disconnect these two topics. Teeth biting. So grinding teeth, it's a major difficulty right now in many children. Children who will be eating and not eating by themselves. Because sometimes we say, my child doesn't know how to eat, but your child grinds teeth. So somehow he knows how to chew, because actually what he does is bite and press too much his teeth, but he's not tolerating the food. And sometimes we will be having no feeding difficulties, but the child still will be grinding teeth, pressing too much, and feeling frustrated even by that. You have to understand that grinding teeth brings a lot of headaches in the future, okay? Headaches, real headaches. So I suggest that whenever you have a kid who is grinding the teeth, we target it as soon as possible. So you can either work with a speech therapist, either consult someone like me and watch a couple of videos, or otherwise work with an occupational therapist who can suggest you a chewy tube. The chewy tubes are tubes specially for chewing skills. Now you will tell me, but Lisa, my child grinds the teeth, so he knows how to chew. Wrong. Not because your child is grinding the teeth means that he knows how to chew properly. And worse, it's not meaning that he can eat and chew the food. So you have to separate these three things, okay? Well, we have child who is grinding his teeth and he's not eating. So we still have to work on chewing. And the way how we're going to work on chewing, it's using chewy tubes. You can use the Z-Vibe, you can use any vibrating tool, you can use chewy tubes, but I always suggest to go for something soft or medium texture. Don't go for something extremely hard. Now, I already did a couple of videos long time ago working and talking about chewy tubes. So you can always go back. I always keep my videos live in the channel. So obviously I much appreciate if you can follow me and help me not to continue growing this YouTube family. So much appreciated for your likes and for your following and your sharing of the videos, tagging, etc. on social media. But coming back, I already did some of the videos. Hello, hi everybody. My name is Lisa, and hi to everyone. Thank you for joining. Let's continue. I already showed a lot of chewy tubes before that we can be using, but I think I will prepare a new video about chewy tubes just to make sure that we can talk again about it, okay? Chewy tubes are very important for grinding teeth and for drooling. So today, as the topic goes with grinding teeth, baby teeth, teeth biting and drooling, these two can be combined really easily and very good. So when you have a kid grinding your teeth, we need to use the chewy tubes. We have to make sure that you use always your molars, so you don't come with the chewy tube in front of the teeth. So whenever you want the child to use the chewing, we always place them in the molars, and this is when we are going to activate the chewing. So it's very important. When your child has excessive drooling, we can also do the same. The chewy tubes will help you to mature all the system and all the muscles in the mouth, will help you to organize all this coordinative system inside of the mouth when you chew. Because if you think about it, when we are chewing, we are opening, closing the mouth, and sometimes swimming side to side, there's movement. Many times, if you ask a child to do or open, close, the kid doesn't have no idea what you're asking him to do. Sometimes because of the condition, they cannot tell you what is happening. So placing a chewy tube, it's actually a very easy way to start working on drooling and biting. What do you do, ma'am? What do I do? I introduced myself before. I work with children with special needs. I am an occupational therapist, which is something between speech therapist and physiotherapist. We are halfway there. And what I do is basically I help kids to improve in their daily lives. Well, thank you very much. I will come back to the topic, guys. So who is following here because of my profession? Thank you. But I'm going to only answer questions about my job. Teeth biting. Many times in children with autism, you will have these episodes when the kid is biting and is biting everything. And for example, the child will not be eating food, but he will be biting everything around. And you will say like, Okay, so what is the issue? No, if the child is biting everything else and not the food, you still need to work on the chewy tube. The reason why is because somehow the biting is not satisfied. Usually our teeth are used to work on feeding. We have our teeth for speech and feeding. That's all. So it's our way to masticate the food and to get nutrients inside of our stomach, sorry, and to survive, basically. So when we are having difficulties with kids who are not actually eating but actually biting, or biting the hand, biting the shoulder, or just biting any random thing around and not the food, it's still there is like a sensory difficulty around this area. Somehow the child is not satisfied 100% and opt for this primitive reflex of I'm going to bite because of frustration or maybe even extra excitement. So what do? We always suggest to parents get a nice chewy tube or a couple of chewy tubes to have with you, so we can work on the chewing. More the child spends chewing the chewy tube, the better it's going to be, and less you will have biting episodes, especially we're talking about a child with behavior issues, autism, or maybe extrasensory needs. Now, this is regarding biting. Sometimes you will have children who will be eating and chewing food, selective food, but the child still bites around. So we have to examine it, and this is when, unfortunately, I cannot give you much tips besides to consult an occupational therapist or speech therapist in this case, to check if the child really knows how to bite. Because many times parents have a confusion like, no, but I give him the chicken nuggets and he eats it. Well, you have way to eat, okay? You still have a proper way of eating, and then you have a eating. Sometimes the child will just bite, put the food up, with the tongue, mash it and swallow it. That's not chewing. Sometimes the child will keep it here and stay, I call them the little hamsters, and they will stay for 3 hours with the food on the cheek. That's not biting. Sometimes the child will just pop, swallow it, and that's all. That's not biting. For biting, we need to have this process. I put the food inside of the mouth, I place it in one side, I chew it, I chew it, I chew it, I bring it in the middle, I bring it in the side, I chew, I chew, I chew, I bring it in the middle, I swallow. And sometimes we repeat it 2 or 3 times this process before we swallow. Now, if it's in the case like me, sometimes I eat very fast because life is busy. Not always we do this process, but if you think about it, when you're eating, think about it. When you're eating, you're like, okay, I am actually chewing the food a couple of times before actually I swallow it. And you have to observe the same activity in your kid. If this activity is not observed, your child is not chewing properly. And this is the reason why he is still biting on other things. And this is the reason why sometimes maybe he displays a behavior with the biting as well. I like to work a lot with ABA therapists and speech therapists, and we combine chewy tubes and it works amazingly, okay? But I always suggest that if you don't know which chewy tube to buy, because nowadays you have like these cool shapes, and you know, like really like nice dinosaurs and Legos and I don't know what. That is cute, but there is an age for that. When we're talking about kids of 4 years old, 6 years old, 8 years old that are maybe non-verbal or have extreme behavior difficulties, these chewy tubes are not good. They are not working because it's cute on the picture, but the kid doesn't really put interest on chewing. What most of the time we have to get is the basic ones, the letter P or letter B or letter Y or a letter T. You have in yellow, in red, in green, in purple. We also have chewy tubes that they are like a line, which are also fine. Chewy tubes that you will see that they are very basic, but are made of soft or medium material, but not very strong. Strong chewy tubes, you will see the hard chewy tube. You will always recommend for kids who really kind of bite extremely hard. And this is the reason why I suggest you to consult your occupational therapist, so you don't spend your money outside and you buy exactly what your child needs, okay? Or otherwise, you can always, consult me, or you can always, check online which type of maybe chewy tubes you can buy. But it's important that you get a little bit of guidance instead of just going to the shop and buying it, okay? Because even sometimes in the shop, they don't know for what is the purpose of the product that they are selling. Hello, Ebrar. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for following. I much appreciate the likes, subscribes, and sharing of the videos. So yes, don't hesitate to ask me if you have a question, and I continue. So this regarding biting. So we can have children who has difficulties with feeding and still biting, and vice versa. Children who doesn't have any difficulties with the biting, and with the feeding, but they will still have difficulties with the biting. Very important thing is that you make sure that your kid knows how to chew. Okay, this is priority number 1. And priority number 2, it's if your child feels comfortable with vibration around the mouth. Okay, so that's mean that when your child is when you are with an occupational therapist, and the occupational therapist is working on oral motor skills, which are swallowing, chewing, blowing skills, sucking, etc. You need to, I always suggest to introduce vibration, meaning you can use any vibrating tool, you can use the Z-Vibe, you can use anything, but it's very important that we work on vibration outside and inside. Okay, so there are different techniques that maybe if I have time in another video, I can prepare a couple of examples how to work on the mouth. Okay, because it's kind of my little baby, I love oral motor skills, and I really encourage every occupational therapist to work on oral motor skills. I have shared this with my OT colleagues. Thank you very much for sharing, and thank you very much for letting other people know about me and these sessions. Thank you. So you have to, when we are working on biting, you have to make sure that you have good chewing, and also you have good tolerance to vibration stimuli. Okay. Now regarding drooling in cerebral palsy, depends on the state, depends on how the child is developing with cerebral palsy, because depends how the child is affected. You have the drooling will be activated differently. For example, I have a kid who has cerebral palsy and he's completely always with the mouth open. So the drooling, it's very it's a non-stop. And we have difficulties to close that mouth because the child doesn't want to actually activate the biting. And then I have children who are extremely well, they bite soft, but they are still have difficulties to close the mouth, but we are trying on stimulating that biting, and the drooling slow downs. So definitely, if you're working with kids with cerebral palsy or children who are drooling excessively, so you are working with them and the drool is coming and the child is not noticing that there is drooling, there is water around, I suggest you to work on chewing still. Otherwise, suggest the parents, if you don't have time in your therapy session, because you have to cover a lot of things, you can suggest the parents to use between 10 to 15 minutes daily chewing skills. You put the chewy tube, you chew, you put the chewy tube, you chew, finish. You don't have to do anything extra, but it's important to activate the chewing daily. If the child likes food and the child knows how to bite, increase the diet. For example, increase the diet to more chewable things. Carrots, apples, crunchy food, chewable food, food that requires more heavy work for the mouth, because maybe your child is capable to chew, he can eat, but you still have drooling and you still have that not concept of I accumulate saliva and I need to swallow. So food that it's chewable and it's crunchy helps as well to reduce the drooling. So between you implementing the chewy tube and bringing food that are strong, are heavy work for the mouth, because if you think about it, after eating an apple, you know, especially the green apples maybe, or these like super red apples, they are very strong. After eating, you feel like, okay, your mouth is, you know, did an extra work. For example, every time that I finish my live with you, I feel like I did like intensive, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes talking. Also, I talk too fast. Sorry for that. If you want me to slow down, let me know. But I try to give you as much as possible information, and I get a little bit, you know, like excited about it. So I go sometimes too fast. So anything that it's going on around our mouth, our cheeks, our muscles will feel it. So sometimes adding the crunchy food and working on our diet will help your kid to also reduce the drooling. If your child doesn't know how to close the mouth and remains with the mouth open, I suggest you to work on vibration, very important, inside and outside and inside of the mouth, and slowly introduce a little bit of chewing on the teeth. Okay, so you don't want to do chewing because he cannot or she cannot. Okay, so no need to force you and the kid and the parents, you know, because everybody is stressed out. You don't need that. But what we can do is we can start adding a little bit of pressure on the teeth. So you work more on the awareness side. You don't work anymore on the, come on, we have to chew. No? You are activating the awareness of the chewing, you are activating the processing of the chewing, and that's it. Hello, thank you. Your live streams are really useful. Thank you very much. I am very happy to hear that. Then, like I said, if the child remains with the mouth open, what you want to do is activate a little bit of chewing on the teeth. Okay, that's all. And slowly, gradually build that up. If your child knows how to close and open the mouth, we can start with a very soft chewy tube and then slowly activate the chewing. The same happens with drinking from a straw. You know, many children doesn't know how to drink from a straw, but it's normal because the child is not even capable to manage his own saliva. So we have to step back and say, okay, what is the limit? What is the basic, no? And then from that, build it up. So I definitely suggest you to take this in consideration. I'm going to bring something and I'm going to show you, okay, something. Just give me one moment. So, here is my teeth, okay? I call them my teeth. I like to use it for demonstration, okay? Especially in the workshops and extra classes and courses. So these are my teeth, right? And I'm going to show you how, imagine we have a kid with cerebral palsy or other neurological condition that the child doesn't know how to do this movement, okay? So no movement, opening, closing, and the child remains with the mouth open all the time. So there is this accumulation of saliva and there is drooling. If I take my chewy tube, with this chewy tube, as you can see, it's very soft. So basically it's very easy to chew. Okay, that's a little bit the sound. I am going to use it here with a little bit of pressure. I'm not going to ask, let's go, Pablo or Juanito, let's close and open. No, we are going to open and close. Okay, we're going to give a little bit of sensation and awareness on the teeth slowly. Okay, we don't want to force. Okay, we're going to apply a little bit of pressure more with our fingers. Obviously, I always work with gloves. So guys, don't go with your empty, unless if it's your own kit, and even I suggest you always use gloves. Okay, so I will be going with my finger a little bit and providing a little bit of texture over here. All right, give me 1 second. So I'm going to read this, okay, guys? My 4 years old baby just swallowed her tooth today. Take her to the ER, but the doctor said it will pass out from Coco. Is that true? I'm a little concerned, so that's why I'm searching YouTube, but the doctor said don't worry. Don't worry. That's something that will happen, and it happens many times, and don't worry about it. At 4 years old, the baby teeth are falling. They are baby teeth for that reason, or the milk teeth. Nothing is happening. Don't worry about it. It will pass. Okay. I find it cute, you know. So, but no, don't worry. It happens a lot. It happens during the therapy sessions as well, that I will be working on chewing and I will get the tooth in my hands, you know. So these things, it's totally normal. It's the age for, you know, changing the teeth. So don't worry about it. I continue, guys. So if we're having the chewy tube, we're going to apply a little bit of pressure, so we are going to get that awareness. Eventually, what you want is to do a little bit of pressure and to work on the chewing. Now, if we are having, you're welcome. Now, if we are having, for example, a teeth, not a teeth, but a child who is capable to close the teeth, you want to work, but let's say he's really closing slowly. What you want, it's actually him to do this movement as much as possible. You don't want him to do this movement. We avoid the central area. You only want him to do this movement and this movement, okay? So, again, I repeat again, you want him to work on the molars. You don't want him to work on the canines or the central area, okay, over here. Okay, that's, forget about it. You don't want him to start like chewing over here. All right, this is not what we want. We will want this once the child is capable to do this and to go in this area as well. Okay. Hi, good afternoon. So, well, for us it's good evening. But yes, I guess that everybody is a little bit from different countries, so that's fine. And this is the reason why I love it, so we can connect. Doesn't matter which country we are, where are we from. So, this is a little bit my explanation, not only my explanation, okay? So don't think that I'm just inventing it. This is extremely important, and this is the reason why, how we can actually get results and how we can improve our kids feeding, our kids chewing, etc. Can I use this recommendation in my session as an OT? Of course, feel free. Yes, of course you can. The only thing I would like, if you don't mind, Ebrar, you can send me a private message on Instagram or doesn't matter, whatever, on social media. Maybe in which case you would like to use the recommendations. I'm asking you why, not because I need to know, but certain droolings are different and certain conditions are different. So sometimes the same recommendation cannot go for everybody. But in general, whenever you have a child with mouth open and cannot close the teeth, we need to go slowly working on the teeth. If you have a child who can close and open, you only work on molars. You avoid the front. The reason why we avoid the front is because, first of all, depends on the kid, we always have an open bite. Or if it's not an open bite, we will have malocclusions because the child didn't have breastfeeding, or because the child used the dummy for a very long time, or because the child is still with the baby bottle. So depends on the age, depends on the background, depends on the how the parents are educating the feeding system. The child will have always experience with this front stimuli, you know. So he already have too much going on over here. Our difficulty comes when it's at the back, because most of the time the children don't use the molars, the children don't know how to chew, the child doesn't know what's that mean, I have to put the food on the side and chew it. So when we come with the chewy tube and we come in front, look, he knows how to chew. Yes, of course, because he chews on his dummy, he chews on his bottle, he chews on everything else, but he doesn't chew on the food. And when we eat, it's true that when we use the front, but immediately when we use the front, we send the food on the side. So the only way how you can be sure that you can use this chewy tube everywhere, start from the molars, go to the other molars, including the front, it's when the child is capable to eat properly. So I always suggest, first make sure that the child knows how to chew and he can manipulate the food properly in the mouth, and then you can go with the chewy tube. You will tell me, but if the child knows how to chew properly and manipulate the food, why you want me to go with the chewy tube? Because if the child is still drooling, if the child is still biting outside, if the child is taking toys and grabbing toys, that means that the chewing is not satisfied. It's meaning that the food that he's eating doesn't provide him enough sensory input for him to not to bite. You, me, at least I hope we are not biting on non-food items. I don't take a piece of a mattress and I bite it. I don't feel like I want to bite my pen because I don't have that need. Because we talk, because we drink water, because we eat crunchy food, because maybe of our alimentation or whatever. But our body feels satisfied. When we go for other things, or the skin, or other things, it's because somehow our nerve system is seeking for that input, okay? Sometimes it's not sensory, sometimes it's behavior, but that's another topic. Like I said, everything that has to be with biting, hitting, grinding, manipulating, steaming, you always have two things. Tiptoeing, one is the sensory, one is the behavior. But your occupational therapist should know how to identify if it's a sensory or it's a behavior. Okay? And if you are an OT and you still don't know how to identify these two, please check for a course, inform yourself. It's very important. You cannot be giving recommendations if you don't know these two things. Or if you are a parent and you feel that the occupational therapist don't know, so check for another occupational therapist, okay? But you need to have that question. You need to know if the grinding of the teeth, it's sensory or it's a behavior. Most of the time it's a sensory, but the biting, it could be behavior. So you need to make sure that the biting, it's not coming from behavior, that is coming from sensory, okay? But in any case, in case, for example, of biting, I will still suggest you to work on chewy tube because it's healthy. It's going to always help your kid to maintain, to regulate his sensory difficulties, to regulate his emotions, because it's a heavy activity for the mouth, you know? Unless if it's like a biting with a purpose, you know, like I'm getting angry, you did something wrong and I bite you. That's another thing, nothing to do with sensory, right? That's something that has to be with behavior. So it's very important that you analyze the reason, what is the difficulty in the drooling, what is the difficulty in the biting, and we get the best approach possible. But if we're talking about biting, just biting toys, biting hand, biting carpets or whatever, you have to see if it's a behavior issue or it's a sensory issue. Okay, in case if the occupational therapist is a little bit, you know, hesitant, you can always contact an ABA, which is a behavior therapist. That's the reason why I like to work in team. we don't know everything, and sometimes we need to work in team to be able to coordinate between our colleagues and our therapist, so this is very, very important. Okay, sometimes, for example, certain behaviors or certain sensory issues happens at school. So bring your occupational therapist to school. For example, I go to schools. We work a lot with schools. We work with child carers. We work with at home, with anybody, We have to work everybody together because everybody needs to know what is happening with your son or with your client. If you're an OT and you're working with a particular client, don't work alone. Ask the parents who is the other therapist working with the kid. Contact by email, doesn't cost anything, Check what is going on. See how you can help him, See if there is maybe something else that you can do. I always suggest that small input, that extra thing, will always make a difference, Even if you think no. Even if you think like, it's okay, I do my job and he will do his job. Well, that's okay, and I don't tell you how you should do your job, but I'm just telling you that in my experience over 10 years in this practice and running my own clinic now, it's always helpful that you work with others because, like I'm telling you, we also do mistakes. We don't know everything. And sometimes certain behaviors and certain sensory issues appears because the child start doing something else in another therapy, because the child start doing swimming, because the child is having a new teacher in this classroom, etc., etc. Okay, so I'm going to ask you if you have any questions for me for today. I'm going to give a couple of seconds. So you think about it if you would like to ask me something, because for today we finished. Okay, in case if you don't have any questions, that's fine. Maybe you will think about it, so you can always write me down. I will make a note and I will answer you next Wednesday. Every Wednesday I connect at the same time, around 7:30 p.m. Europe time. Okay, so yeah, if you have any questions, just please let me know. And if not, I will be seeing you in the next Wednesday. In the meantime, I always say thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for your support with subscribing, liking the video, sharing the video, talking to other therapists, doing your job if you're an OT. So continue doing your job. And it's great that some of you are looking for resources online and trying, to learn. You're very welcome. Okay, guys, so yes, I will be try to join me online on Instagram, and I will much appreciate if you can follow Panacea Therapy Center. That's my clinic, so to give more support. And also you can see what we are doing, and maybe some of the videos are also useful for you, so you can get some ideas. I will be seeing you next week. If you have any question during the week, maybe you get a client that you don't know what to do with, maybe you're having, some hesitation, or maybe you're a parent and you're like, okay, I like this answer, but what about this? Please write me, okay? I am for that. Thank you very much. Have a good evening and the good rest of the day. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.